There are several block patterns throughout the Mousetrap quilt pattern that includes working with templates. Some of them need to be glued together because all of the templates are 100% to scale. I didn't want you to have to maneuver or play around with your printer settings. So everything is 100% to scale. So you should be printing it as is, not adding any type of you don't want to be scaling it in any way. You just want to print it as is. And so the first thing that you're going to want to do is check the test box. So you want to make sure that that is coming out at 1 inch. If it is, then you're on the right track, and I encourage you to keep going. If you do test that 1 inch test box and you're either too big or too small, go back and reprint. I would recommend printing just one page at a time so that you're not wasting your printer paper or your toner and your ink and all that. But once you have them printed out, here's the process that I use to stitch them together. So I'm actually going to start with block 3, which is the sticks block. The reason why I chose this one is because there's several templates that you have to glue together to create it. So I want you to see that in action. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually looking at template E because there's 4 of those. And so it's one of the more complex ones to piece together, so I want to show you that one in action. So what I'm going to do is I've got, so I'm looking for all of my E's. So I've got E4 of 4, 1 of 4, this is my B template, this is my C and D, and then here are the rest of my template E. So what I like to do is actually start by grabbing a ruler and a rotary cutter that I use exclusively for paper. So this is just a really old rotary cutter that I've just kept now for all my foundation paper piecing or any of my paper patterns that I need to cut down. So let's get cutting. You want to make sure, so I try and preserve the full integrity of the pattern. So I like to cut just outside that black line. Don't get too fussy about it, but that's just something that I try and target. So once you're happy with your setup, then you can start trimming down. So I'm just going to quickly show you how these all come together. Once you have your templates cut out, so you'll notice there's 1 of 4, 2 of 4, 3 of 4, and 4 of 4. So that's the general layout of each of these templates. And you'll notice that there's glue edge 1 and glue edge 2. So you always want to start by gluing edges 1. So we're going to have these edges come together and we're going to have these edges come together. Once we have those glued, then we can join them together. Now that we know where we're headed, let's dive in one step at a time. So what I like to do is actually use some cardstock just to help me fold one of those edges over. So I'm just lining up my ruler. I'm lining up my cardstock. And what I'm doing is I'm lining it up as close on that. I'm lining it up on that black line there. So basically I'm just folding over that seam allowance. And what I'm going to do is grab my glue stick. You can use Scotch tape for this as well if you prefer. Either one works. I'm just going to add a little bit of glue. And then what I do is I place that edge directly on top of the glue edge. And what I'm doing, there's a couple things that I'm doing here. I'm looking to make sure that I'm bringing that point up here, and I'm looking to make sure that my line is continuous down here. Once I'm happy with my placement, then I like to press it into place. So that's how this one should look. So 1 of 4, 2 of 4, our glue edge 1 is done. We got to do that again with our 3 and our 4. So I just line up, it might be tough to see on the camera, but I'm lining it, the cardstock right on that black line. And then I just fold back the edge and then apply a little bit of glue. I do find a glue stick is better than wet glue just because I find the wet glue gets a little bit messy, but if that's all you have on hand, it will work in a pinch. And again, what I'm doing is placing it on top of, so glue edge one, I'm laying them on top of one another, and I'm making sure that I'm connecting those lines. So I want to make sure this line continues, and I want to make sure that this line continues, and that everything is on the straight and narrow. So we've got 1 of 1, so we got 1 of 4, 2 of 4 joined, we got 3 of 4 and 4 of 4 joined. Now we got to do our glue edge 2. So I'm just going to take, doesn't matter which one you take, it's just that one of them you need to fold back that edge. So again, I'm just going to take my cardstock to help me get a nice crisp fold over. I moved a little bit, there we go. All right, and then once we have that folded over, we can add a little bit more glue. Oh. Add a little bit more glue. And then we want to attach it here. So again, I'm always prioritizing that I've got my lines aligning here. So I want this line to continue. I've got this nice and centered, and this guy is joining up down in here. Once you have those in place and you're happy with the layout, then you can press it into place. And then I like to give it a couple of minutes just to allow the glue to dry. And then you are ready to start cutting your fabric using your paper templates. So easy peasy, nothing too complex. You've got, as I said, there's quite a few templates throughout the Mousetrap quilt pattern. The approach to gluing your templates together is the exact same. Most of them are just going to have one edge that you need to glue in, but I thought I'd show you the more complex one so that you can see how that works and follow along.